Hello, you guys, and welcome back to Happy and Healthy. Are you happy and healthy today, Connor?
I'm happy. I'm healthy, but I don't know if I'm like
ready.
Got the full energy. So
I actually don't either, to be honest. I was literally thinking about getting a second cup of coffee before this. You beat me to it.
The reason I'm late to this podcast is because I was getting coffee.
I actually was like, he is very late.
Oh, you said take your time. It is funny though,
right.
because last weekend I think it was you that said the thing you hate the most is when people are chronically late, and everyone that I know, like Ian, looked directly at me and started laughing. It was fun.
Is that like a really bad habit of yours? Is being late?
I'm not like intentionally late, but I'm
but he's intentionally late.
No, it's like, okay, so let's say I'm going to work out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the workout's at 9 a.m. I wake up at 7, like make my smoothie, get ready, and then it's like, oh, let me put my clothes in the laundry. Like, let me put them in the dryer. Let me fold them. Oh, like, let me check my emails real quick. And then by the time I'm like ready to go,
next thing you know,
I'm like
an hour
running
has
out the
passed.
door. Yeah.
You know what? I am actually the same way. Like, Maddie and I are late all the time. It's kind of embarrassing.
Wait, so the thing that bothers you the most is when people are late, but you're late yourself.
Okay, here's what bothers me the most. And also, we definitely need to introduce you because we never did that. But let me get back to that. Something that bothers me is when someone's like, hey, let's hang out. Or like, hey, I'll see you tomorrow at 7. And then I never hear from them. And I'm just like, you just straight up like ghosted me and made me think we were hanging out. And we didn't. That bothers me when someone plans something and then I don't hear from them.
That's annoying, but that's not being
really
late, though.
Annoying.
What someone told to me that has kind of changed my perspective on being late a little bit. They said people are going to think that you value your time more than theirs.
Oh.
And I was like, oh.
That's
okay.
a really good point.
So I think I've started to make more of a conscious effort to not be late, I guess.
Well, I guess today you didn't do that.
I was good. Okay. All right.
Okay.
The timing was up in the air. Right?
It is. I did say, hey, take your time because I was still getting ready. I woke up super late this morning. And originally we were going to film at 10:30, and then I texted him. I was like, can we push it back?
And I was very okay with that.
So tired.
I was very okay with that.
Anyway, you guys, wow, that was quite the intro. Welcome, Connor, to the podcast.
Thank you. My name's Connor, for everyone listening.
Yeah, tell them who the freak you are. Like, people may not know who you are.
I'm just a young guy trying to find love still,
Oh, yeah, he's single, ladies. We're going to talk all about that in today's episode.
We're going to talk about that. But yeah, I don't really know how to describe myself.
Well, where are you from? Where do you live now?
Yeah,
what do you do?
I'm from Michigan, live in Austin, which Jeanine's going to move there soon.
Am I?
If she is.
After I just bought a house. Maybe. You never know.
Maybe two. And what do? I started a business a couple years ago, and I'm starting a new one right now.
Waterboy
hydration. Check it out. Get you hydrated this summer. But yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so Connor and I go kind of way back.
We do.
We kind of do. We kind of go way back. We've been friends for a bit now, and I have been like bugging him, like, yo, let's get you on the podcast.
Yeah, I was thinking about this today. I feel like, we've talked about the podcast thing a while ago, and I almost feel like you were kind of vetting me to make sure I was ready for it.
I actually kind of was.
Bit,
I was like, is he
testing
ready?
Me a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm just so happy because I feel like I finally passed the test.
He made
I'm
the
sitting
cut.
in this seat. I made the cut,
Yeah.
I'm honored.
I'm honored to have you on here. So that's exciting. So yeah, Connor and I go way back, and I feel like one of the biggest things that you and I discuss is dating. Mm-hmm. We always are talking about it. And like, sometimes like, I feel like you'll randomly text me and be like, what are your thoughts on that? Or what are your thoughts on this? And then I'll like process, some things with you as well. And it's just always like an ongoing conversation because that's just how dating is. I'm single. You're single. Mm-hmm. We're both out here just looking for some little fish in the sea, but some of them are stinky and rotten. So throw them back in there.
There's a lot of fish, but I feel like we've found the rotten ones.
the bad ones in the bunch.
Yeah.
Okay, so for today's episode, like, this is just such a chill, open discussion. We wanted just to talk about like dating, essentially. Mm-hmm. I have some questions for Connor, and he said that whatever I dish out to him, he's gonna dish back to me. Apparently.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I know. Like, I 100% know one of the questions you're gonna ask me.
Do you?
I do.
What is it?
Do you want me to toss it out right now?
I guess we're just getting right into this. Wait, well, first of all, if you guys want to follow Connor on Instagram or anything, everything is down below. Just check that out down below. He's a fun person to follow. He's a good guy.
I think so. You know, I'm not the most active
He's
social
not.
media user. But
I think I looked at your profile the other day and I was like, he hasn't posted in a month. But like, I kind of low-key like that because I don't like guys that are obsessed with social media.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I would say a month is honestly good for me.
You're kidding.
Because there's been points where it's been like 5 months.
What?
Like last summer, I didn't post for
He just
5
dropped off
months.
the face of the earth and just drove to Big Bend.
Yep.
Just disappeared.
Camped out in the car for 2 weeks.
That was a 2-week trip.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Connor tends to disappear, so don't DM him because he won't see it. He won't check it either, probably. Do you check your DMs?
I feel like I'll scroll through them, but
Yeah.
I don't respond. See, that's something Mike, my roommate, he's really good at responding to people over DMs, but in person, he kind of likes to mind his own business a little bit.
Interesting.
I'm terrible at responding to people over text, but in person, I love talking to people.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I feel like that's how Maddie is. Maddie's not the best at responding to DMs, and I'm very, like, I try to be really active on it, but it takes a lot of time to respond to DMs. Like, a lot.
100%.
So, yeah. Okay, I'm curious. What is the question?
So you're at dinner, you're on a date.
Oh my gosh, I knew you were going to ask this.
You know,
I literally was
we've talked about this before. I feel like this is going to lead into a lot of things. You're on a date. It's going well. The date's kind of wrapping up, right? The check comes, placed on the table. What do you do?
Okay. You know what? You've actually challenged me in this. I would say normally you will not catch me reaching for my my wallet. So I think old Jay would have been like, you invited me, you asked me out, I'm not paying for this. And I still kind of think that way. I still think I'm a little bit more traditional where I think the guy should pay for the dinner. And I also just like to be taken care of. Like, I think it's sweet. But I went on a date when I was in Austin. And the check came and I went to reach for my bag. And he was like, no, I got it. And I was like, okay, bet. Then we go to get dessert. Same thing. I like offered to pay and he was like, no, I'm paying for this. I don't know what he thinks about that. He's definitely more of like a Southern Texas kind of boy. But I honestly, for some reason, like I was like, I'm just going to see what happens if I try to do this. And he wouldn't let me, which I kind of respect. But I would say normally I believe that the guy should pay.
Okay, that's fair. So one thing, I believe after we talked about this, one of the first times you did a Twitter poll.
Oh yeah, I did.
What can you refresh me on the results of that? Like, what was the top answer?
I got to go way back, but I'm almost positive most people said that the guy should pay.
But they said that the girl should offer.
They did.
That was the winning answer.
Okay, so
which I think that brings me to my like view on it, that I am always going to pay if I go on a date, like 100%. But I was talking to Maddie about this yesterday. If the girl offers, that really sticks out in my head and like I remember it.
Is that just like the biggest turn on for you?
I don't know.
When she pays. Oh.
Yeah, when she pays, hey. No, it's not like the biggest turn on, but I think it's just something that I pick up on. If she doesn't offer, it's not the end of the world, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's something that I just pick up on, and to me, it just shows that, I don't know, she views it as like an equitable relationship, right? Okay.
Because I know when we talked about this last time, you were like, it's kind of annoying when you feel like she just expects it. Is that why? It's because she's just like, all right, pay for me. Like, do you think it's kind of like what's the word I'm thinking for? Not a pretentious, but like a privileged mindset?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, I think the reason I don't like when there's not an offer is that I know a lot of girls that just go on like 6 dates a week. Yeah. Like every night you're going on a date with a different guy.
I cannot imagine
that. And I remember I was talking to one girl one time and she was like, yeah, honestly, I probably don't like most of them, but it's like a free dinner.
I hate that.
And that really, I think, stuck in my mind. And I was like, is that really what people think?
I will honestly say I personally don't do that. Like, I don't have enough time to waste to just go get free dinners. Like, I can buy myself dinner. But I do know that there are girls that are like, hey, free dinner. And I'm like, what? Like, I would not waste my time with some random guy forcing conversation just to get free food. I don't really understand that.
It doesn't sound very fun, and it sounds exhausting, to be honest.
It does.
Dating is exhausting in itself, so I can't imagine
it is
doing
exhausting.
That 6 nights a week.
Okay, speaking of dating being exhausting, why do you think that you're still single?
That's a good question. I am a big believer in you need to be your best self, or at least like working towards being your best self.
Yeah.
In order to find the person that's right for you and attract that person. And so I think I'm still trying to like not necessarily figure that out. I think I have figured out like where I want to be, but there's certain things that I'm still kind of trying to finalize in my life before I know that, okay, I can give all of my time and energy to someone else.
Okay.
And I think for me, it's harder to commit to really going all in a relationship when I know that I can't fully give that yet.
Okay, that brings up such an interesting point. And this is kind of like me derailing from my questions, but do you feel like the overall consensus, because I feel like this is what I've come to generalize by, watching people date, is that what you basically just said, that men need to feel ready, stable, financially stable, like they have it together before they can fully commit. Do you think that's true or false?
I think that's true to a certain extent. I would say not for everybody,
yeah,
but it's interesting because some people, and I'm curious what you would think, have the philosophy of like, who cares if you're ready or not? You kind of work through that.
Yeah,
stuff
you just
with
make
your partner,
it work,
right? Like
right.
You make it work, and that kind of helps you grow closer. And then I think I'm more on the philosophy of, okay, let me like get my life sorted out fully, and then when I'm ready and meet that right person, then can go 100% in.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think I've come to see a lot of guys, they start dating a girl, they hit their quarter life crisis, and they break up with the girl, and they freak out. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. I don't have a house. I don't have I'm not financially stable. I have debt, or I whatever. Like, they don't know what they want yet, and they freak out. And I literally saw this happen time after time after time. I partially feel like this is what happened in my last relationship, same thing. And so I was just sitting there being like, that's very interesting. Because girls are like, no, like, we're the supporter, we're the helper. We're like, we want to help you, like, we want to champion you. And guys are like, no, like, I can't do this with you. And I feel like guys they compartmentalize. It's like, I can only put my eggs in this one basket right now. This is like my goal, what I'm thinking of, versus girls can be like, I can have my eggs in multiple baskets, so I can help you and I can still do my career, versus a guy's like, I need to figure this out right now, and then I can come back to you when I'm ready.
That's a really good point. I would say for me, like, that's kind of how it
That's
is.
it? Okay.
I'm
my really, theory is not wrong.
Well, I'm really good when I focus on one thing. So like right now it's me starting this business.
Right.
And so sure, I've gone on a couple dates, but it's really hard for me to like be communicating all day and all that stuff when it's like, this is really what I'm focusing on. But
when do you think that you'll be ready? Because isn't life going to just continually be like that? Your business is going to grow. You're going to have another business. Like, life's only going to get more crazy.
That's a good point. But I would say the way that I've planned things out, and everything seems to be going to plan right now, which is great.
Good.
I think I will have more time to focus on other things soon.
Okay. I mean, there was one more question I had on here that I need to ask. Okay. So, if a girl is interested in you, what is the best way for her to get your attention that makes her stand out?
Okay.
Because you have girls in your DMs. Like, you have girls obviously interested in you. What makes her be like, okay, that's the one I want to pursue?
Let me say one thing that I really don't like.
Okay.
And it's so I don't really drink that much. You probably know that about me. And so like, sure, I'll go out with friends sometimes, right? And it happens pretty frequently. A girl will come up and they're like, hey, can I buy you a drink?
Oh, yeah.
And usually I'll say no. But it's not necessarily that I don't want to like talk to that girl, but it's like, I just don't want another drink.
I don't want to drink,
right?
yeah.
But then it turns into this whole conversation, like, why aren't you drinking? Blah, blah, blah. Like, let's take a shot, whatever. And it just turns into this like 5-minute back and forth of why I'm not drinking, how I'm being lame.
That gets so old too.
And to me, that shows that she's not a good match for me, like immediately.
Dang.
If drinking is that important to you,
Yeah.
that in your mind I'm being lame and not having fun because I'm not drinking, then probably not going to work out in the long run.
No,
so
I completely agree with that.
in a way it's good, but I just really don't like when people do that. Like if you want to talk to me, just come talk to me.
Yeah.
And like, let's have a
I
conversation.
think that they're probably intimidated and nervous, and they're like, okay, because they probably assume based upon, you know, like you being on the show and like you, they probably just assume, okay, Connor probably parties, because like I feel like most people in that scene do. So they probably look at you and they're like, okay, this is the best way to get to know him and ask him. But it's funny because like I feel like from your social media, you wouldn't really know that you're not like this, like, you don't like to drink. Like I didn't know that. I assumed for some reason when I met you, like, oh, him and his buddies like probably party. And you kind of surprised me because like you don't at all.
Yeah, I really
Which
don't.
is really cool, actually.
I really, really don't at all. I honestly haven't since college.
Yeah.
It just wasn't really like my thing, I guess. Focus on
honestly,
other stuff.
that's so good. Like,
but
and
I feel like that's rare.
I was gonna say it's a rarity, especially in Dallas.
Yeah, I like that was the tough thing I had about living here is the only thing to do a lot of times is just go out and drink unless you find your people in your community. And I don't think I really found that community that I was looking for here.
Yeah.
It's funny. I feel like I've found those people as I've left now.
Yeah, that's so interesting. But also you've grown a lot since you left.
True, for sure. But in terms of like what would stick out in my mind for a girl to do, I would say, I mean, let's say it's like a DM or something.
Okay.
If that's the route we're going down.
DM slide 101 for Connor.
I think like maybe responding to a story or something of something fun that I'm doing and like maybe saying like, hey, like I love doing that too. Like, where do you go in Austin to like work out or whatever, you know?
Okay.
Something like that. But I also think, you know, the places that I go that are things that I'm passionate about. So let's say it's like doing yoga or.
I feel like that's like the first time we hung out was we went and worked out together, which was so funny.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the settings we've hung out are working out actually.
It was a lot of working out until I was like, we should hang out outside of the gym. Like,
well, I met you at Equinox in Santa Monica. Second time we hung out, we did a ski class thing in Dallas.
Yeah.
And then third time we did yoga
in Austin.
Yeah.
Yep. And you were late to that as well.
I was very late to that.
Literally, like the class had started, they had locked the doors. I kept going to the instructor. I'm like, please wait. Like, I swear he's coming. I swear. And I'm like checking my phone. I'm like, where are you? And then you come walking up. I'm like, you need to get in here right now. Like the class had started. So
what's the workout today then? We going on a run after this?
Bet. Actually, I went on my run this morning, but we can go another one. Right. I think I could take it.
All right, let's do it.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, I got all my stuff in my car out there.
Well,
but yeah, I would say like, I was talking to Maddie about this yesterday, but like in order to find your person, I think you need to surround yourself with the people and the environments that person might be in.
Yeah.
Where you have similar interests. So for some people that might be going to church. And like, I think there is a distinction. There is a difference between, are you going to church to find someone to date? Or are you going to church because you're passionate about that?
Absolutely.
And care about that? So I think doing things you're passionate about, that you care about, you'll surround yourself with people that also care about those things.
Yep.
And you'll run in and talk to those people. So I would say for anyone that's like, not just me, but for any other guy or girl, if there's someone you're interested in, just go talk to them, because if they're doing something that you also enjoy doing, you instantly have something to connect on. I
completely agree with that. People always ask me, they're like, how do you meet like so many people, or how do you meet guys? And I'm like, just live your life.
Well,
go outside and live your life, and you'll meet people by doing that.
Right. And that's why everyone joins dating apps, right?
Yeah.
Which, speaking of dating apps, I was recently banned from Hinge. So
what?
If Hinge would love to let me back on, I'd appreciate it.
I'm sorry. Can you tell us why?
People thought it was a fake profile.
You're kidding.
Honestly, kind of sad. You know, I'm just trying to find love out here. And
Hinge, come on, give a man a break.
Yeah, but this is like a month ago, so they still won't let me
Wait,
back
are you on Raya?
I am, but I've never gone on a Raya.
I couldn't do it. I literally had it for like a bit, and I was like, I don't think I can do this. We
actually matched on Raya.
Oh, we actually did. I was like, hey, Connor. Yeah, I had Raya there for a bit, and I was like, why am I paying for this? So, okay, dating apps, but you're not a big dating apps person, or you are?
I'm not.
I couldn't do it.
And the reason, and I think we're similar on this, but I hate the small talk before like going on a first date or like meeting for the first time.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not good at that. To me, it's like, if I'm interested in you, let's go hang out and see if there's a chemistry or a connection. And then we can like start texting and whatever. Cause I think to me, it's just kind of like a waste of time if you do that, lead up to a date and it's just not there. So that's why I think dating apps are tough for me, because that's what it is. It's like creating this really awkward small talk.
It is.
And
you're like, you can't really suss out their personality from like
100%.
a dating app texting. Like there's so much miscommunication, mistranslation based upon texting on a dating app. Right. I just personally cannot do it.
But it is, I can see why people join it, because like, I think a lot of times you can get into this headspace of, I'm not finding anyone to date. Like, where do you find people?
Right. Like, dating apps.
But I think people just need to open their eyes a little bit, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
I think, one, open your eyes, but two, just don't worry about it. And like,
yeah, don't put so much pressure on it.
Do stuff you love, and that's when you attract the people that are right for you and love doing that stuff too. You know?
That's actually really good advice. I tell that to people all the time. I'm like, just go live your best life, be the best you can be, like grow, get healthy, like get yourself as happy and whole as possible, and you'll start attracting the right people, because like toxicity attracts more toxicity. And if you're not healthy, you're going to attract unhealthy people. And I will say, I cannot generalize. I cannot say this as a sweeping statement, but I feel like typically what I've seen is there's a lot of unhealthy people on dating apps.
100%.
A lot. And that's why I was like, I cannot do this. Like every person I met on there, it just was like, it just was not it.
Right. And one really big thing that I want to say is, like what you put out is what you're going to get in return. So when I came off the show, and this happens to a lot of guys, you post pictures in the swimsuit, right?
Yeah, he did. I was like, geez.
but like that, and I wasn't like doing that intentionally for anything. I love being in a swimsuit.
But you also work out a ton. So like, and you work out shirtless a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My preferred attire is like shorts or a swimsuit. Because if I'm wearing that, it means I'm in a warm place, maybe on a beach. I'm happy. But one lady, it was a mom, she DM'd me one time, and she goes, like, if you keep posting these swimsuit pictures, like, that's the type of person you're going to attract that, like, wants that.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot of times.
And I was like, wow, that is fascinating. Never really thought of that. And it changed my perspective of, like, okay, all these people that have, social media people or whatever, not even social media people, but like what you're posting out there into the world, that's the perception that someone is getting of you. And like, those are the kind of people you're going to attract that want that stuff. Right.
Yep. That's actually such a good point. There's a quote that I heard that said, like if you got him with your body, you'll lose him with another body. Like if you attracted a man because you had a banging body, he'll go look at the next sexy girl and drop you in 2 seconds.
Right.
So like if he's not attracted to you and dating you because of your heart and who you are and just your body, like he'll go find the next hot chick on Instagram and ditch you for her as well.
Right. 100%.
And that's why I'm very cautious about bikini photos as well. And if I do post one, it's like, I do not want booty pics. I don't want anything that's like too revealing or too like whatever. I think there's like, it can be tastefully done. You know what I mean? But I don't want that to be like my Instagram where guys are just scrolling. And it's like, oh my gosh, just booty pics left and right. Like, but I don't think that's my brand at all anyway.
Yeah. There's plenty of people that do that.
Oh yeah.
As well.
I don't think that's really my thing. Okay. Actually, you mentioned this. Okay. Earlier you talked about something about going on a date. So I remember the last time you and I were chatting about dating was because you went on a date with somebody. Connor is somebody that I've noticed when he goes on a date, he goes all in. Like helicopter rides.
I mean, honestly, I think I should be
Talk about that a little bit more.
I should be a producer on The Bachelor with the quality of my dates. And this was even before going on the show. I had really great quality dates. But I think like, okay, the traditional date is let's go to a bar and grab a drink or let's go to dinner or something. And honestly, that setting is just kind of like an interview.
And it's boring.
You know, I mean, you can make it fun a little bit, but if it's the right person, but I don't think you're going to really get to know someone in that setting. And so my thought on dates is like, okay, we can do something like that, but how can we kind of break the ice a little bit and do something fun, right? Yeah. So my go-tos are mini golf, great go-to. Escape rooms. That's love escape rooms. That's a really, honestly, best date ever.
Okay. I went on a date to an escape room and it was actually horrible because I realized I did not like the guy. And I was stuck in there with it for an hour with him. And I was like,
it only took an hour and you knew. You know?
That's true. That's a good point. You have a good point.
I feel like in an escape room, if you're not feeling it, like you can go kind of do your own thing.
Like, I'm going to go inspect this wall over here. Gotta go.
Actually, I've done 3 dates at escape rooms. All 3 went very well.
Okay.
But I mean, it was just fun.
Yeah, like that's a good first date. I feel like
we had a lot of fun, and you kind of like get out of your comfort zone a little bit. And I think it's like a problem solving thing. So you have to work together and figure it out.
And you can have like a little bit of banter. Like I feel like at first date where there's some good banter, like, because I feel like honestly sitting, eating with somebody, you're watching them eat, like it's just so awkward. And I'm just like, why is this an ideal first date?
100%.
Like who traditionally said, have to go to dinner together, have to do, I honestly hate it.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather a guy be like, let's go, you know, what you're saying, putt or whatever, and then go get dessert afterwards or go get a drink afterwards or whatever, but like keep it chill. Because if you don't like them, then you're like, I just sat and we talked over like dinner for like 2 hours and it just didn't go well. I don't know. I'd rather do something a little bit more fun on the first date as well.
100%. So then there's like the fun first dates. And then for some reason I have this itch of doing kind of a little more like extreme first dates. And I think my thought on it is, okay, what are things that I want to do?
Yeah.
That I haven't been able to do because I don't have a girlfriend.
Yep.
But they're things that I would love to do with someone else. So like, let me take this girl on a first date and like a helicopter ride or.
Okay, I told him that he needs to stop doing that though. Well, I think it's so good and so fun, but not as a first date. Like I feel like she doesn't deserve that yet. No, does that sound bad?
No. So I think you're right. So and we talked about this in the moment.
We did.
Instead of taking that one girl on the helicopter ride, we did the escape room, and it was a good switch. Switch. Now there was another girl, and this is a whole different story. I think I talked to you about this one a little bit.
Yeah,
actually, I can ask some questions about this because I'm curious what you think. But
yeah,
I mean, we had been talking for a while, so I wouldn't really call it like a first date because we had hung out before.
Wait, is this the girl you told me about?
Yes.
Okay. No names will be named, but proceed.
I don't think I ever told you her name.
I don't think you did. No, you actually sent me her Instagram.
Did I?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
That's okay. Anyway.
We'll talk about that
Minor
offline.
details.
But we had like hung out the night before too, and then we did the helicopter date. I actually did like a Bachelor kind of date. I had a car pick her up. And I was waiting.
Bougie.
Was waiting 30 minutes away by the lake with a picnic set up.
That is literally the cutest thing I've ever heard.
And then I had another date card for the helicopter ride.
What?
Great.
Connor, that sounds insane. This was a first date?
It was like a.
Because you've been talking to her for a bit.
Yeah, like second and a half date, I would say.
How did she respond?
She liked it a lot. Yeah.
That is like the cutest thing you've ever heard. But I personally think if that was a second date with a guy, I'd probably be a little bit freaked out.
No, okay, that's a fair point. But I think the circumstances were right for that.
Like I trust your judgment on that.
But I don't know. Okay, so this leads me into something else. Like at what point, how many dates do you have to go on with a guy before you say, okay, I'm only going to focus on you and I'm not going to go on dates with other people?
Wow, that's a really good question.
Because I've heard very different things. Like some people will say, first date, I'm only focusing on you. Some people, actually, I think we have talked about this before, but I
don't know. I actually talked about this with Jess last night a little bit.
That's who
I
talked about it with Jess last weekend.
She said to me, she's like, at what point do you know you want to proceed or you don't? And I said, probably date 3.
I think that's what she said.
Yeah, I would say 2 to 3. But honestly, I even feel like date 1, you know whether you're vibing or not. But I'm a person, I'm like, okay, see this through, give this a shot. I'm like, okay, day one, you're just seeing it through, whatever. I'm like, okay, give it a little bit more time because I really do think you need time to see whether you like them or if they're a good person or if you fit or whatever. I'll go on a second one. If they ask me on a third one and I'm already not vibing by the second, I might be like, okay, I'll give it one more shot. But by the third date, if I'm just not vibing, then I'm gonna have to be honest with them and be like, no. But there are times when I still feel like by the third date, you may not know. And I may not be like, I want to go exclusive with you because it's literally been 3 dates. So if I'm really vibing, like for example, when I met my ex, this was like over 2 years ago now. I feel like you just know when you know type of thing. Because so when I had met him, I was kind of talking to somebody else. And when I met my ex and he was kind of pursuing me, I immediately dropped every other guy like that. I immediately was like, hey, sorry, not talking to you, cutting this off. Boom, dropped them like flies because I knew I liked him and I knew I was interested and I knew it was going to go somewhere. So I feel like it's like that just connection where you're just like, this is the person that is worth cutting everybody else off of for.
Interesting. That's okay. I agree with that. But let's say you go on a first date with a guy, it goes really well. You plan a second date.
I plan or he plans?
He plans a second date. He plans
Gender
a second date. And then you go, let's say you and Maddie go out to dinner and you see him on a date with another girl. What are you feeling in that moment?
That's a good question, actually. A really good question. Because my stance is, okay, this is actually a new stance as well, is I believe you are allowed to quote unquote date multiple people at once. Like, say I went on a date with a guy and then another guy asked me on a date a week later, I would say yes, if I were interested. Because I don't owe that guy anything. Just because I went on one date with you doesn't mean I owe you anything. But it can be a double standard because I would probably feel a little bit weird being like, wait a second, like you just went on a date with me and now you're with this girl, like, ouch. But also he doesn't owe me anything. We literally went on one date. But I think as you're progressively going on dates, like say we're on date 3, that's when I'm going to start probably cutting off some other people because I don't want to be playing games and I don't want to be going on like multiple dates with multiple people. So if you know with one person it's not working out, then end that and then see it through with somebody else. But I feel like if you go on one date, then technically they're allowed to go on another date with someone else. Do you think that?
I think that, but I think it is weird. Like if I went on a date with a girl, it went really well. I asked her on another date. She said yes. And then I went out with some friends and saw her with another guy. I think, to be honest, I would be like,
that would make you maybe question her a little bit?
I think I might cancel the date.
You know, I get where you're coming from that for sure. I'm not typically one to go on multiple dates at once. I'm just not. But say, okay, for example, this actually like happened to me. This did happen to me like kind of recently. This guy asked me on a date. We go on a date, but then like another guy the same week that I had known for a bit asked me out on a date. And I was like, okay. So I technically had 2 dates in 1 week. Is that wrong?
No, I don't think that's wrong.
Like they were both like super new. And I was like, well, I don't owe this guy anything. I don't owe him anything. But both of them didn't work out. Like I already knew immediately. I was like, they both aren't it.
Yeah, I don't think that's wrong, but I feel like, okay, so I think like dating with intentionality is very important to you,
and
right?
Clarity, yeah.
Yeah, oh, yes.
Clarity and intentionality.
But don't you think you can almost get more clarity if you have focus on one person for like a week? Maybe go on a couple dates and see.
I do, and I think traditionally and ideally that would be what I would want to do. Is I wouldn't want to go on multiple dates at the same time. This was like a situation where it crossed over. But typically, yes, I'm kind of like a one, I wouldn't say one and done, but like I want to focus on one person at the same time so I can decide, is this who I really want to date or not? But I would say yes. Ideally, that's what I would like to do because I don't want to feel like a player. But I don't know. Since coming back to Dallas, dating has been very interesting. Probably the most dates I've ever been asked out on in like a very long time because California was so different. And here it's almost like, it's kind of like overwhelming. It just kind of, I'm like, what is happening? It's weird. Dallas dating is very different.
It is.
Because men are so intentional here.
That's true.
They really are. They're like, I want to get married. So they just pursue when they see it. They're like, we're going after it.
No, that's very true. That's very true. I think the reason that this is like a big pain point for me, I told you about the situation, but like, the girl that I did the helicopter date with, she came to visit me in Austin, and I had been talking to her for a while. And I feel like if you're coming to visit someone and like going on a helicopter dates, right?
Completely
like,
agree.
You know, I would say it's a little more serious than like a first date or a second date.
I agree.
And we never had that conversation like, okay, we're exclusively talking to each other.
Yeah.
We did a little bit, but
I really do believe if she's traveling for you, that means something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just traveling for anybody.
Right.
Like, just because you're cute or whatever, I'm not like, oh, yeah, let me just book a flight. Like, if a guy offers to fly me out, I've had guys do this before. Actually, someone from the Bachelor actually offered, and I said, nope. I don't freaking know you. Like, heck no. But, I mean, we'd hung out once, and he was like, I want to fly you out to... I probably shouldn't say the location. I want to fly you out to blank. And I was like, heck no, because I'm not flying out for anybody. So I would agree with what you're saying.
I actually feel like I know who you're talking about, even though you've never told me this story.
Wait, who do you think it is?
Can
we bleep out his name?
I'll tell you after.
Okay, sounds good.
But that girl, she, like the next weekend I went to visit her, and first day was great. Second day we, had dinner, went out with some of her friends. And she brought another guy that she had been talking to with us, and like,
which is literally the weirdest thing to me.
Yeah, like was only paying attention to him, didn't talk to me the whole night really. And then I was like, oh, this is weird. And then the next day, my buddy put everything together because he knows the other guy, and told me that she's been talking to him for the last 2 months, the same period I was talking to her, and had basically been saying the same things to both of us. And when I heard that, I just got so mad. I immediately booked a flight on my phone and just left.
Good for you.
I was like, this is ridiculous.
I would have too. That is absolutely ridiculous. That is just straight up playing games, wasting people's time. Like, I do not respect that at all.
100%. And I think it could have been, like, I think sometimes people have a tough time telling people that maybe they're not into them, or they're not.
Yeah, they don't want to break your heart or whatever.
Right? And I think for her, she was probably trying to figure out what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I don't fault her for that, but the way that she went about it was not good at all.
Yeah.
Like, I would have been okay if she said, hey, I'm seeing someone else. I think I'm feeling it more with him, whatever. Like, I'm going to do that. But I also think even when I left, like, she didn't even know what she wanted to do. I think I just kind of made the decision for her. Yeah. So I was like,
I mean, good for you.
I'm out. Like, you can go do that.
Yeah. That's interesting. And that actually something similar like that happened to me. And it was kind of the worst feeling. Like, I was like, you led me on for so long, and you could have just told me you were talking to someone else. Same thing. Like, you were feeling someone else. Like, don't. And he used like very big words, like, you're wifey material. I want to pursue you. And I was like, okay, this guy is like, he's into it. And I was into it as well. And then he started getting really shady, started like, his text messages started like dwindling a little bit. He wouldn't call as much. And I was like, something is up. And I was like, he's definitely talking to another person. But even though he was talking to this another girl the entire time, he just like wasn't honest about it. It would still like keep me like lingering around, and I'm like, just be freaking honest, because that just wasted my time, hurt my emotions and my feelings. I was just like, that was low. 100%. So that's why dating with clarity, transparency, honesty, all of that, as much as it might sting, it's like you rip the Band-Aid off and get it over with, and like you don't lead that person on and like leave them, making them feel like you did something wrong, Do
you think that you are good in telling people stuff up front? You can say no.
I'm thinking.
Because I would say, even though that's what I say people should do, I know
it's hard.
I can do a better job at that.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
I think I definitely can as well. I mean, there was this guy that I also went on 3 dates with, and probably the second date, I was like, I don't know if I'm feeling this, but at the same thing, I was like, I'll give this another shot. And then the third date, I did say, I was like, hey, I just want to be honest with you. It is something I'm learning and growing in, but that's something Maddie challenges me in. And my other friends are like, Jay, just rip the Band-Aid off. Just say it. And I'm like, oh, you're right. Fine.
How do you say that in a way? Like, is there a way you can say that to where it doesn't hurt as much, I guess? Or are you the type of person who's just like, rip it off and
no, I think I tried. I think I do the method of like build them up and then let them down. I think I do. I think Yeah, I mean, I always want to be honest because, and it's hard because you don't want to leave room for them being like, wait, are you still interested? Are you not? I'm not really sure what you meant by that. So there's been guys where like, I've been like, hey, I really think you're amazing. You pursued me well. Loved, the time with you, but I just don't see this moving forward. Thank you so much for everything you did. And like, I wish you best of luck. And I just like make it clear like that. But then if they were like, hey, I want further clarification, then I'll give it to them. But I try to just be upfront from the beginning.
Okay, so actually, this brings up a very good point.
Oh, God.
I was thinking about this before. Like, do you think how we perceive dating needs to change? So what I mean is,
tell me more about that.
Like, okay, so I go to dinner with a girl or I slide into a girl's DMs, whatever it is. Like, immediately that person thinks that I'm romantically interested in them. But I would say 90% of the time, I'm just like, you seem cool. I want to get to know you. I'm not necessarily like in love with you.
Yeah.
Right. So I think like I can see how people are hurt when someone's not interested in them or whatever. But I feel like we shouldn't be as hurt necessarily because it's like you're just getting to know someone. Right.
Yeah.
Like there was never a romantic thing created there, I guess. And like a first or second date, really, it's just a conversation of, hey, do we want to see if we want to like be romantic, I guess.
I think that's actually a really good point because, for example, like when you reached out to go work out, I didn't think anything of it. Like I was like, we're just going to work out. This is chill. But I also think when someone automatically assumes like, okay, they like me or they don't like me, it's an insecurity or it's like an ego pop. Like, dang, like that person didn't like me. And that's probably where dating needs to change a little bit because I don't know. But that is hard though, because if you're a single guy sliding in a girl's DMs, I'm probably going to assume, okay, maybe this guy's interested. Even though I didn't with you for some reason. I was like, oh, he just wants to work out. It's chill. But I think other girls might be like, no, he's interested. He's a single guy. He's DMing me. Why else would he? Because if I have a guy DM me that's a single guy, I'm going to probably assume this guy's interested. Otherwise, why else would he want to hang out with me?
True. But like, okay, so Maddie, for example.
Yeah.
When she got off of Peter's season, you saw that last episode when his mom was yelling at her.
Oh, Barb.
Crazy. But I remember I messaged her and was like, hey, like, I can't imagine what you've just gone through. Like, if you ever need anything, like, let me know, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't like, wow, I want to like go on a date with this girl tomorrow. It was just like a friendly message, right?
Reaching out, checking up on her. Yeah.
So I feel like, especially in Bachelor Nation, but I think a lot of times on social media, people perceive any sort of DM or anything as like, oh,
yeah,
he's interested.
Yeah, it's like if you give, what's that quote? It's like if you give a mouse like a cookie or give a mouse a breadcrumb or whatever, like they're going to want the whole cookie. It's kind of like that. Like if you give like an inch, they're going to be like, oh, give me the foot. So, but that's also just social media as people see one little thing and they're like, they must be dating. There's definitely something there. And you're like, no, we're just friends actually.
Right.
But everyone loves love. Like that's just our culture.
No, 100%.
Everyone loves love.
I think it's like very black and white right now.
Yep.
So it's like, hey, you're either romantically interested in me or like we don't really talk to each other.
Yeah.
But
no, I completely agree.
I think there should be a gray area in there where it's like, okay, why can't I just have friends and like conversations with a lot of other people to see if I want to cross that line to a more romantic relationship. Yeah,
and I think that's what's so fun about hanging out in a group setting is you get to see naturally by being in a group setting, who am I meshing with? Who am I drawn to? Who is bantering back with me? Like that's why, especially in the Christian culture and the Christian dating is they always say like, dating community and like put yourself out there and like, you'll see who is running beside you all of a sudden. And that's kind of why like I think having good friends is good because you hang out in this group setting and then you're like, okay, wait, like I think we're kind of vibing. Okay, we're back. Also, did you know that we have sound effects on here?
I know.
Connor's just so funny. I was like waiting for a good moment to use one. Like my love life be like. Just crickets. Or my love life be like. Scary. It kind of is. I was waiting for a good time to use it, but I just didn't. Maybe when you drop a bar.
Hey. Woo.
Yeah. Okay, let's start to wrap up. But you said you had one more question for me, and I forgot. I don't even know if I finished my thought earlier because my camera ran out of space.
Yeah, I forgot what we were talking about.
Oh, changing dating. You're talking about Maddie reaching out. People need to stop looking into that too much.
Yeah, I really think anyone, like, just because someone talks to someone or is hanging around with someone, like, doesn't mean they're dating, and it doesn't mean they're romantically interested in each other.
Yep. I mean, our followers are like, they literally, if I hang out with any guy, they're like, y'all are dating. I ship them. They should date. And I'm like, we're literally just friends. Like, chill.
Yeah, they do that a lot. That whole thing is crazy. All right. So I'm curious, when it comes to communication in relationships, where do you stand on like the texting spectrum?
I don't like texting.
Interesting. So are you more of a FaceTime person?
Yeah, I would say. This is something that I was not like this before. But again, like I was saying, texting just leaves so much room for error and miscommunication and misinterpretations. And so, especially like we're working people, like during the day, like don't text me. Like you can say good morning and check in or whatever, like that's fine. Or if you have a question, but like during the day, like I am working. I am not texting people. And so I've had guys that have wanted to text solely, and it kind of drove me nuts. I was like, I don't want to text. Like, I'd rather you just call me tonight before bed or call in, check in, say hi. Like, I'd prefer a quick call or a quick voice memo. But the constant back and forth texting is just, especially I think at our age, it's just not conducive.
Totally agree with that. It's to me, it's just really interesting how people are very different on that spectrum.
Yeah.
Like I've gone on dates with girls. I went on a few dates last summer with this girl, and you know, I'm not, and this is the thing, I feel like a lot of times it gets put on me like, oh, you're terrible at communicating. But
Which you don't like to text though.
I don't like to text, but I also feel like I've had to look at myself like, okay, am I actually bad at communicating, or do I just need to find someone that appreciates that communication style of like FaceTiming or calling or whatever it is?
What do you think that is?
I think it could be a little bit of both, but I also think it's important for me to find someone.
Both.
Find someone close in proximity to me, to where I don't need to be texting them all the time.
So dating within your own city is so much nicer.
I agree 100%.
So much nicer.
100%. But she told me, she got really mad at me. She was like, you're so bad at texting. You need to text me every night before you go to bed and say something nice to me and say goodnight. And I was like, oh
my God, I'm sorry.
So I did it for one day, and I literally woke up the next day. I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore.
But that's so like forceful then. Like it's not like an authentic thing from you.
Here's the thing. If there's someone that I'm like in love with, I'll do that for sure.
Yeah.
It's not going to seem like a chore or like
exactly.
I'm being forced
like I have to text this girl every night.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Yeah. I don't think you can force people to change their communication habits and stuff like that. I mean, sure, there's like toxic.
I think also you can teach. You can teach, and you can also be like, what works best for us? Like, because I think that's something you actually do need to communicate. Because I've had to do that with guys being like, hey, I really appreciate when you reach out, but I want to let you know from 9 to 5, pretty much, I'm not going to respond. So let's just do a call at the end of the night. And they're like, yeah, bet. Like, great. I've taught guys how to communicate that works well with me, and he's respected that. And it actually was great.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I don't think you can demand, but you can also ask. Like, I personally love when I get a good night text, or I love when I get a good morning text, you know?
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't love that?
Everybody likes that. But sometimes it's annoying when it's from the wrong person. You're like, good morning. Stop texting me.
Well, I think for me, it showed me that, like, okay, if I'm not willing to text this girl goodnight every night, I'm not that into her, right?
Yeah. That's a really good point.
And then another girl, she was like, words of affirmation are really important to me. You need to text me like nice things throughout the day. And I was like, why? What? Can't we just have like a little FaceTime recap at the end of the night or something like that? And
that's hard. And that seems, I mean, again, I don't know the girl, but it seems a little needy.
Yeah, and I think what it came down to is both of those were long distance. So that just makes it
10
more
times
difficult.
Harder. Yep.
And that's why, yeah, I don't know. I think dating within your city is really important, or at least
agree.
like setting the foundation first before distance is created.
I agree. Absolutely. Okay, before we wrap up, I just wanted to know.
You have like a little smirk on your face with this.
No, I just want to know, how do you think girls specifically just suck in dating? Like something that you've been like, oh my gosh. Like it's okay. Again, like I don't want to like, I mean, guys could do this too, but typically what you've seen, obviously you're dating girls, I'm dating guys. Like, what do you think girls are? You're just like, oh my gosh, I cannot do that.
I mean,
a message for all the ladies out there.
that's tough. I don't know. I mean, I think part of it is, and this isn't a generalization of all girls, but like a lot of the girls that I have gone on dates with, it's like drinking ends up being a big part of the date. And it's like, okay, if, let me talk from like the girl's perspective. If I'm a girl and I want a guy who's driven, healthy, works out, has a great job, all of that, is that person going to be the person that's like drinking all the time and like going to bars? Probably not. So like, why are you wanting to go drink and do all of that stuff?
Yeah. That's a good one.
And it gets back to what we talked about earlier of like surround yourself in places and people that are like-minded. But I feel like some first dates I've been on, it's like, okay, let's get as drunk as possible and then like have a fun night.
Yeah, they're just probably nervous too.
No, like I don't.
They're probably nervous, but they're also hoping like, okay, we're going to be drunk and then we can be like, oh my gosh, we got so drunk last night, and they can blame their actions on that. And it's just not really cute.
The other thing too, though, is, but some dates I've been on, it's kind of been like an interview, and, I'll ask thoughtful questions and there's never like, oh, what about you? Or like,
I completely agree with that.
And I'm sure it goes both ways.
Guys stink at that, I feel like.
Yeah, it's.
But I mean, maybe, okay. Again, we cannot make generalizations because it could be specific to the person.
Mm-hmm. True. But I don't know. I think I've been on dates where it's like, okay, what's the next interview question? And if I don't ask a question, it's just like silence.
Sitting there. Yeah, I hate that. I think that's something that I've noticed, and I've mentioned this in a past podcast, was that I don't meet very many guys that ask really good, intentional, deep, thought-provoking questions. Mm-hmm. It's like the basic, like, of course, like, oh, where are you from? What do you do? How did you start your YouTube? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, like, challenge me a little bit. Like, ask me something a little bit deeper. I don't know. I kind of get bored of the basic ones. Of course, you want to know who I am. But I've found that not very many guys have that good question banter.
True.
There's only like maybe a handful of guys I know in my life that have that. And they've taught me how to ask better questions. And so I want a guy that really genuinely cares and asks good questions.
Okay.
It matters.
Yeah. No, that's really important. I think that goes both ways.
Yeah.
So I think I found my final answer for this, actually.
Okay, yay. And then we'll wrap it up.
Perfect. I honestly just forgot it.
Connor.
What was it? That did not help.
I think it did.
Okay, no. So I think what I've experienced with dating sometimes is girls expect guys just to know certain things and like,
oh yeah, we do,
like know what you want for dinner, or like how you're feeling, things like that. And to me, like if you feel a certain way, if you want something, just tell me and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think that creates a lot of like tension sometimes.
Absolutely.
Like, why aren't you communicating with me this way? Why aren't you, doing this? It's like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I will definitely say girls do that, because the reason why is that we're hoping that it takes out the romance if we have to tell you. If we have to tell you, hey, I want you to buy me flowers. Hey, I want you to surprise me. I want you to bring me chocolate. I want you to affirm me and tell me I'm beautiful in this new outfit that I bought. It takes out the romance, because we want to just be like, he tells me, and like we want to like be able to know like that's my Prince Charming, like he affirms me. And so it kind of takes out like this specialness of being like, hey, can you please, like, you know what I mean? Like girls want to see you just rise up and take care of us and lead. And I think that's like one of the most attractive things is when a guy's like, hey, like I'm picking you up at 7, wear this dress. Like, you know what I mean? Like girls are like, okay, yes, like let's go.
So I agree with that. I think there's ways that it can be like hinted. So there's sometimes like I'll go on a date with a girl and I have no idea if she's into me after the date or not. And sure, I can, you know, ask her on a second date, whatever. But I think there's certain times it would be nice to get like a little hint, like a nudge.
What
like,
would a hint look like that? If you're like, okay, do I ask her out? Do I not? What would a hint look like on the first date for you to know that? Like the hug goodbye? Is there something specific about that you're like,
no, I think
feeling it out
maybe
there?
like the follow-up text.
Do you want, that's a good question actually really fast before we end
We
this.
talked about this yesterday.
Okay. Who sends the follow-up text after the date, after the first date? Who sends that?
So if the date went really well, this is just in my experience, night of, if the date went really well, I'll usually get a follow-up text within like an hour.
You will?
Her. So I'll drop her off. And then she'll be like, hey, that's so much fun. Thank you.
Gosh.
If I don't get that text, I'll sleep on it myself. And then I'll follow up in the morning.
Okay. Because I'm somebody, I will not text you first. Even if I had a really good dang time, I'm like, nope, I will let him respond and him pursue.
Why though? But I don't think that's pursuing. I think it's just validating.
I don't know. I don't know. I always want to wait for the guy to do that because, for example, I went on a date 3 weeks ago, whatever. I thought it went well, but I couldn't really tell. So I was like, I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, I had so much fun with you. But I made sure to really let him know I appreciated, him paying, all that stuff. And then he followed up, was like, hey, had so much fun. Thanks for getting sushi with me. And I was like, great. Never heard from him again. So I was like, interesting. So he still did thank me, but then I never heard from him again. So I don't know what I did on that date to not get a second one, but which is fine. I see him all the time at my gym. It's interesting. But I don't know. I feel like it might repel him if he's like, I didn't like you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, this girl is like, I don't know. I'm just not one to do that. And I just traditionally believe that the guy is just the one that kind of leads and pursues.
Okay.
So it's interesting that you wait for the girl to text you.
But I don't think it's a difference in pursuing. I think it's because I'm not like asking her to go on a second date at that point or expecting her to ask me on a date. I think it's just kind of like a cap to the night, I guess.
I see what you're saying. I think again, old Jeanine would have done that, and I have done that. But I think I'm more just like, okay, let's just see what the guy does. Like I want to sit back and create space and allow him to step up and see what he does. Because if he doesn't want to go on a second date with me, that's totally fine. Like I'm not butthurt.
For sure.
And so if you don't want that, cool. And so I'll move on with my life.
Yeah.
But it's like nice to know that like he'll again step up and thank me. Thanks for your time, blah, blah, blah. Because I am carving out time for you,
But he's carving out time for you.
But he also asked me out on a date.
He took you on the date too. And
See, this is where the gender role starts getting different.
And you accepted the date though.
I did. But I don't accept every date.
Okay, but it's not like I feel like sometimes that's perceived as like a job almost. It's like, oh, I carved out time for you.
Yeah, it could be, even though I don't like to look at it like that. I don't know. I just traditionally, I let the guy text me first.
Okay. That's fine.
I'll just leave it at that.
All right, rapid fire questions.
Not that I think one is wrong.
Rapid fire questions for Jeanine.
Oh, now. He's interviewing me? Okay, shots fired. Let's go.
Last date you went on?
Oh, my.
When was it?
This past Sunday.
How'd it go?
Actually, really good.
Did he text you after first?
He did.
Is there a second date?
Yes.
Wow, you fired this back quickly. That's good.
I'm seeing him on Sunday.
Ideal food eaten on a first date?
Oh, man. I would say like a ravioli pasta.
Interesting.
Like,
with like
you
red
don't
sauce?
you don't get noodles, you don't get broccoli, you don't get like eat something that is easy to eat on a date.
With red sauce on it?
Yeah, why not?
I feel like that spills easily.
Yeah, but if you're a clean eater like me, then I'm very particular when I'm eating on a date. I like make sure to slice everything up. I take a nice small bite. Don't let it get messy.
Dream date.
Dream date. Oh
like
my
activity.
gosh. I'd probably say like I mean, kind of what you were saying, something adventurous. Like he's like, hey, we're going golfing, or we're going something fun and adventurous. And then maybe you go grab dessert afterwards, and then you go sit somewhere and you have music playing and you're just talking, and I'd say something like that. Okay. You have like a fun thing, then you get dessert, and then you talk for like a long time afterwards if you have time.
Gotcha. Big wedding, small wedding?
Medium wedding. Does that count? I don't foresee me having a small wedding. I just don't.
What's like the number for a medium wedding? 200 people?
150, 200.
Okay. It's a good size. Big ring, small ring.
What do you think?
Okay. All right. Follow-up question. How many months of a man's salary should he spend on a ring?
I literally could care less. I mean, I obviously want like a beautiful ring, but like I am not like, it has to be 10%, 20%. I don't care.
Yeah.
As long as I like the ring.
I feel like a lot of people say 2 or 3 months or maybe more.
Isn't there? Yeah, there's like a saying for that.
Depends on your salary.
I don't really know, and I don't really care. And I'll say I've never really dreamed about my wedding growing up. I've more dreamt about the guy. I've never been like I want my wedding to look like this. Like I still have no idea what I want my wedding to look like.
Where do you want your wedding to be?
On the beach.
Okay.
Probably.
Is it casual or dressy?
I don't know. I think not too casual. Like not like you're literally wearing a beach dress, but I think nice but still like beachy vibes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. If I have a beach wedding, I'm wearing a swimsuit. I'm getting married in a swimsuit.
I'm dead. I'm not surprised.
How many kids do you want?
3 to 4.
3 to 4. Okay. Any name ideas?
I have 0.
Interesting.
Like the weird thing is like I think people expect growing up in the South that you have your wedding planned out, your husband, your kids, your dog, your house. I'm just like whatever God brings, let's go. I don't know.
Okay, last question.
Okay.
First date ends, goes really well. Is there a kiss?
No.
Never.
I wouldn't say never because I definitely have done that, but now that was something that I started doing this year where I was like, no, I'm not freaking doing that. Not to say that I've done that every day in the past, but I don't think I'm going to do that this year going forward with dating.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm going to make him wait. And not every guy deserves that. You just don't.
Yeah.
It's something that I obviously enjoy, but I'm like, nope, you got to like really be a good guy and someone that I actually like want to pursue to get that.
That's good.
So yeah.
I'm the same way actually.
I didn't know that.
It's not that I like don't do it ever, but I don't go into the date or
being like, I'm going to kiss this girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly,
and I would get annoyed if a guy tried to do that. I'd be like, whoa, like, what are you doing?
Okay, I kind of feel like could go on a whole tangent.
I know, this podcast is so long.
We'll end this though.
Wait, what were you going to say?
Well, no, okay, so you come to that setting at the end of the date. Should the first kiss be something that's initiated by the girl? Because if I'm a guy, I want to know that she's interested in receiving that.
I think that you can just tell, like, the vibes are there. True. I feel like you can just tell. Like, say y'all are, like, hugging, you're saying goodbye. If she looks up at you, you better freaking kiss that girl. I'm telling you. If she's locking eyes with you, she's basically saying, kiss me.
Right. So, but I feel like that's her making the move.
Then probably, yeah.
Like, inviting it.
Then, yeah, I would say probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, gotcha. I think I'd probably be a little annoyed, like, if we were on, like, a third date and he just, like, grabs me. Unless I was really into it and I was like, I want to date this person, I'd probably be like, what are you doing? So I think, yeah, maybe the girl can initiate that one a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. Because I never even expect it or, like, look at them like I'm going to.
That's good.
I just, if there's a signal, then
that's respectful. I think that's good.
On The Bachelor, they might tell you to go for it, but you know.
Did they?
They did.
What?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't want to open that can of worms. Whole different can of worms. Anyway, okay, well.
This is great.
Did we get everything out on the table that we need to get out on the table?
I think so. I mean, we could probably make this like a 5-part series.
Literally, we could. Let me know if you guys want in the comments to have Connor come back.
We can dig into stuff a little deeper.
Yeah, y'all can ask us questions that we'll discuss the next episode.
I think the next episode should be digging into your dates a little bit.
No.
Your dating life.
I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to.
Well, it's what the audience wants though. I feel like you got to cater to them. So
I'm scared. Here's my problem is because, okay, for example,
some of the guys listen to the podcast, and I didn't know that. And I try to be careful. Like, I don't use any names. I try to not be too specific. But some of them know it's about them, and it gets really awkward. I've had this happen twice, and I was like, oh, fudge. So it gets really awkward, and I also don't want them to think I'm like gossiping or talking smack about them. But I also want people to learn from my experiences and things I've been through and things that went well and things that didn't go well. So I don't know. We just got to be careful with that one.
I hear you on that.
Yeah. As I'm sure you could say the same thing.
Yeah, I'm an open book though. Like
I would say I'm pretty open as well, but I just don't want to deal with drama. Because it could get into that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I guess my point is like, if you're worried about something that, if one of those guys is worried that you would say something bad, then that means they probably did something stupid.
Okay, that's also a good point. And this is
Not
literally
about them.
this is my last point too, because I do think we need to wrap this up. There's two sides to every story.
True.
So we could be on here being like, and that was the worst date ever, and blah, 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 blah. And she could be like, well, he was boring, or he was this, or he was that. And like, we're over there talking smack, and there's two sides to every story.
That's very true.
And that's where I'm like, that's unfair because I have an unfair advantage because I have this platform and he doesn't. And so I get a little like, I want to like honor that person, but I also want to be like, that low key sucked. Or high key sucked. I don't know. I don't know.
That's fair.
All right. Well, Connor, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank
Finally,
you.
we did this.
We did it.
I know. I'm pretty stoked. Wait, we deserve a round of applause. Thank you. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. Again, I post these every single Tuesday on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. You can check out Connor's Instagram down below. It's just Connor Consueli. I'm just kidding, Connor Saeli. And yeah, let me know if you want him back on here. But I think we'll get you back on here.
Yeah, we'll do something.
Next is drilling Mike. I have some questions for Mike.
Yeah, Mike and Ian too. I heard Ian might get the invite on here.
I did invite Ian on the podcast.
Great story. So I think
I know his story. His is not really going to be as much about dating, but it's going to be something probably a little bit deeper than that. But it'll be good.
You and Mike will have a spicy one for sure.
I'm very interested about that conversation.
Yeah, I feel like
with him.
he's low key been preparing the last like 5 months.
Has
for it,
he?
so
Well, I'm ready. Shots fired. Let's go, Mike.
hopefully you're ready.
I'm actually low key really intimidated by him.
I would just like.
I'm nervous.
I'm nervous to watch it because I will say I want to get an invite in the audience.
He's gonna be
to
there.
Watch this.
Oh my god, I'm scared. Mike, if you're listening, please don't hurt me. I'm not ready for this. Oh, okay. Well, anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. I will see you guys next Tuesday. Remember to stay happy and healthy, and peace out, Girl Scout. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Woo! Yeah, you gotta do the Connor scream. Woo!
That's a little too loud for him.
Okay, bye, guys.
See ya.